I'm a simple kid from central Wisconsin, Podunk town, 2,000 people. When I left this small town 20 some years ago, I never thought I'd get here. I'm Yia Vang, chef and owner of Vinai. Vinai. It was a refugee camp that was set up for refugees from northern Laos, Vietnam during the Vietnam War. So a lot of the Hmong people who were part of that war, who fought in that war, like my father, needed to escape after the US pulled out in 75. The reason why they named Vinai the refugee camp was the word virtue, which they translated to dignity or honor. They wanted to bring dignity back to the people, to the refugees. They wanted to give them their humanity back.
I see Yia Vang on YouTube, on TV. He made Hmong for me, being Hmong cool. My name is Timmy Trung. I'm the CDC at Vinai.
We cook from who we are. So a lot of childhood stuff growing up, we would talk about it. You know, he's half Hmong, half Vietnamese. I'm, Hmong. And so sometimes we have flavors that cross each other and we're like, hey, have you had it this way? We're like, yeah, but our parents called it this, or my parents called it this.
He'll have this outlandish idea and I'll just be like, no, I guess I get weird sometimes. I say, don't put Timmy in a box. Don't tell Timmy what he can or can't do. And then we won't talk for like 3 days and I'll come back and be like, all right, I see the vision. I see what we can do with this.
We're also fans of the restaurant industry around our community. And so we get to talk about that, say, hey, did you have this or did you have that? And so those are the 3 ways that we kind of collab and come up with ideas for our menu. What makes us special, we're actually about building community, and good food happens to be the byproduct of it. When we first started, it wasn't a nice restaurant that was big like this. It was literally out of the bed of my 2001 RAV4 with over 300,000 miles. When I was introduced to the power of induction from Vollrath, it was a game changer for us. Out of a small induction in a corner in a brewery for 200 people, pumping out noodles and gallons and gallons and gallons of broth and stock, it changed the way that we thought what was doable.
My introduction to induction by Vollrath was the induction walk. I feel like he's got the Rolls Royce right off the top.
What I love about the power of Vollrath induction is that it heats up quick. Every second counts. And so with that power, in a matter of minutes, you're getting food right out there. It acts just like if you were with gas, but you're doing this with electric, and that's what's incredible. We had a small imagination. With the induction power of Vollrath, it made our imagination limitless. What I love about the rethermalizer is you get an extra chef in the kitchen, and we know that it's gonna stay stabilized at a certain temperature, so that consistency in the rethermalizer is incredible.
The fact that the rethermalizer can bring something from cold, even solid state, to a boil by just turning it on, absolute game changer. It saved our restaurant.
I've worked with other pots and pans, other product, and literally 6 months in, they start warping. What I love about the Centurion and the Tribute is it's heavier. I know that it's gonna be able to take a beating. It's been a game changer for our kitchen. We never had things that worked the way that it was meant to work. And that's why we love using the Centurion and the Tribute. The one piece of equipment from Vollrath that I love, the first piece I go to, is our brazier. It does everything you need, and it also can take a beating. Man, this pot is just incredible. I've even thrown it over just live fire and cook it with that. If we don't have an extra one and it's all being used, there's almost like a sign-up sheet where it's like, hey, you're done? Like, wash it, I got next, And so we use that equipment a lot. The 3 words that we use to describe Vollrath is fortitude, integrity, and legacy. When I think of fortitude, I think of this idea that's like foot planted on the ground, like immovable. Integrity, we're gonna do this right, even if we have to reinvent things, even if we have to go back and say we were wrong, doing the right thing when no one's looking. And legacy, over 150 years. This is legacy. We had some blowback when we named this place Vinai. We had a couple of people, Hmong people wrote in and said, why would you want to name this place Vinai? Vinai was a place of horrific tragedy. It's a dark moment in our people's history. Why would anybody ever want to do that? And my mom said, I want you to know when I was a girl and we were in Vinai, because they were in there for over 10 years. So when we were in Vinai, part of my family was killed. He said, eventually, I met your father and we got married and we had you guys and we came to America, and I never wanted to speak of that name ever again. She said, when I hear this name Vinai, I no longer think of death and tragedy. I think of hope and joy.